every Nigerian is free, has the right to vie, to contest, to vote, and be voted for. That's what the Constitution says.
We should be part of it to effect the desired change.
I encourage Christians to go there and make a positive change, that they should not defile the name of God by which they were called.
Venerable, would you encourage members of your congregation to join a political party?
Oh yes, I will. Because they are part and parcel of the society. They come to church for us to prepare them spiritually, morally, and otherwise, and we expect them to go back to society to make a difference.
The moral tone of politics should be changed, and the only way it can be changed is to bring in Christians with high moral values who will have influence on the activities of politicians.
We're talking about Christian politics. We need sincere Christians, the real born again believers. You know, when you are born again, you are a new person entirely.
What are the things, even you as a person, what do you expect from your representative? Good representation in terms of bills that he is presenting.
And the people saw that they could see Christ in them. They now named them after Christ and said they are Christians. So if anybody claims he's a Christian but does not manifest Christ, of course he's not a Christian.
Hello viewers, happy to know you're still tuned to your #1 channel of choice, ACNN at this time. Welcome to your program, Christians in Politics. Nigerians are of the view that seeking political office in Nigeria means you have to be financially capable. This and many other issues we'll be looking at on today's episode of Christian in Politics. And joining me to discuss this issue is Barrister Patrice Akwara, who is an Abuja-based lawyer, and also our in-house analyst, Venerable J.O. Unwanya, Director, Civic and Political Affairs, Church of Nigeria, Director, Justice, Equity and Peace Commission, Church of Nigeria, the Anglican Chaplain to the National Assembly. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Barrister, are there negative effects of money in politics?
Yes, actually, you know, when you say negative, it means they're also positive. And I always like to start with the positive. You know, money is like fuel in the car, in everything you do. And essentially, you know, the Bible says, I think it was Solomon that says, money answers all things. So we need money. You know, anything you want to do, even when you want to hold your rallies, your campaign, publicity, you need money. Then that is the positive aspect of it. Then you talk of the negative. Yes, money play a lot of negative role in politics, in that some unpopular candidates may use money to buy, you know, the electorates. They may use money in ways that are unscriptural, that are even immoral, unethical. So yes, you know, you can use money in a very negative way in politics, yes.
Prior to the election, Mr. President told Nigerians that he got 27.5 million naira loan, you know, to pick expression of interest form and also a presidential nomination form. If he has 900 million naira and going to take a loan of 27.5 million, is this justifiable?
Well, when you say loan, you know, you can go to your friend and collect money. You can ask your friend to give you a loan. But that is symptomatic of a decayed system. Ordinarily, when you want to get involved in politics, even in advanced countries, you may not use your own private money. You know, I remember during the election of Barack Obama, that was his first term. Say, you know, they broke all the records of raising money in American politics. yeah, you can solicit for people to make donations. You know, maybe he going about getting a loan may be indicative of the fact that nobody wanted to give him, you know, a donation. But essentially, collecting a loan, you know, of that amount, well, is suggestive of the fact that he was broke, you know, or wanted to use it as, you know, a publicity stunt. Because against the backdrop of reportedly declaring 900 million as his assets, although it's reported, you know, it has not been made public, you know, then you can begin to weigh, you know, politicians use all manner of things. Saying, I got a loan of such amount of money, you know, could raise some sentiments that people may say, he's a poor guy, you know, just like Jonathan saying something that he didn't have shoes when he was in school. So the thing raised a lot of sympathy for him. So, you know, politics, people know how to, you know, politicians can, you know, play on people's intelligence. They can use all manner of things to curry sympathy. So it's all part of the game.
Venerable, I wouldn't know if you share in the last word of Barrister that it, in quotes, you know, him going to, or him telling us he's broke could just be one of the strategy he needed to have won election. A person like Buhari should be worth more than, you know, what he has gone to take as a loan.
Well, as you said, that is a report in the public domain, which we here cannot really verify. But if it is true that he came out to say that he took a loan that is above 20 million naira, I mean, and at the end of the day, his total asset declared after being sworn in as a president is not up to, I think, what is the amount? 900 million. Okay, and which means the loan he said he took is
27.5 million.
27.5 million. I want to say that I don't believe that Buhari will come out to say what he has not done, because the little thing we know about Buhari is that he's an honest man, and he's always straightforward. And so if he said he took such a loan, I want to believe that that was the actual situation. But I want to say, for me, it's not something good, because if he took such a loan and at the end of the day he did not win the election, what would have happened? How would he have paid back that loan?
Probably
taking a loan means you don't have the money, because if you have money, there will be no point going out to take a loan, because loan goes with interest. So if he had gone out to take a loan, that means he was not having enough money to do what he needed to do during the campaign. Then what would have happened if he didn't win the election? Could that account for the desperation we see in the political terrain sometimes? You saw the tension that was all over before the election. And I want to believe that this same thing, this is what most politicians do. They go and take loan, put hand in one place or the other, get money. That is why they are very, very desperate, and they want to win at all costs. So we want to advise that a thing like that should be discouraged. Present yourself to the people. If they want you, let them vote you in to come and render service. Okay. If they don't want you, forget about it. There's no point going to put your hand somewhere and at the end you are struggling to pay the money back.
My next question will be in line with the last word of our Venerable. If you actually want to seek political office, present yourself with your ideology. Let the people vote. But it's obvious that these days, it's actually those who have the economic power that are actually presented either by their political party for elections. Sir, what is the role of money in party primaries?
Yes, thank you very much. Like I said earlier, in my opening speeches, money is like, the fuel, you use to run your engine, your car. So money is important. Economic power is, it can help you to go a very long way, in your political aspiration. But in Nigeria, just like our Venerable said, in Nigeria, things are not the way they ought to be. He said you should present yourself. A lot of people have presented themselves without money, and then they end up losing out. I remember some time ago, Gani Fahimi, as popular as he was, a freedom fighter, human rights activist, defending all manner of persons, giving them free legal services. When he formed the National Conscience Party, he, as transparent as he was, he offered himself for presidential election. I'm not sure he got up to 100,000 votes across the country. So, which means, they said the democracy there was nascent, but now I heard somebody the other day say that our democracy is matured. So I believe that we will get to that stage. But presently, in the party primaries, money play a lot of negative roles. Money plays all manner of. You can use money to buy the delegates. You can. These days, you present your manifesto to the delegates. They are not really interested in what you have to offer or what you have to say. They are really interested in how much you will bring. It was reported that a lot of people who voted as delegates in the last primaries, one of my friends said that one person had opened a ranch in his village. The other one personally told me he bought a car. The other one had completed his building. So that shows some people went home with about 4 million naira from State House of Assembly primaries down to Federal House, which I contested, to the Senate, to the governorship. And, so you can imagine the role money played if somebody will, open up a ranch business, So we are still evolving in our party primary politics.
It is obvious that politics exists in the church. So don't you see money also playing a negative role in appointment or elections in the church?
I don't know where that idea is coming from, and I always say that, in philosophy, they will always tell you that what is not in existence will not come to the human mind, which means somehow this, what you've just alleged against the church, must have happened in one way or the other. But be that as it may, I always also say that when we are talking about church, there are churches in quote.
Okay.
We have the Orthodox churches, which we call the mainline churches. We have the Pentecostal churches, some which has already grown and have stabilized. We have the ones some people will call the one-man church, just coming in one room or the other. Unfortunately, there's no dichotomy, and that is why whatever happens in any corner of the universal church is taken as maybe what is going on now in the churches. As far as my own jurisdiction is concerned, which is Anglican Communion, I want to say that what you have said may not be true or will be very far from the truth. That is talking about people considering the financial capacity of people before voting them into the membership of the PCC. Why should that be? Why should that be? Number one, PCC members are not there to donate money. If there's going to be donation of money for church work. It will be done during the, when the church organizes open launching and all that, and it is done. Every member in the church contribute. In fact, in the parishes where I've been privileged to be vicar, I always tell them there's nothing too small. If you have 1 naira, contribute it. If you have 1 million, contribute it. God knows the hearts of people. So, and every fingers they say are not equal. So, to that extent, in the parish where I serve, I will never allow or encourage somebody to vote a person into the PCC simply because the person has money. And on the other way around, there's no way we can compare what is happening in the church in this regard to what is happening out there in the political arena. Because those who go to seek political offices in Nigeria, even though they say they are going there to serve people, but we know that majority go in there because of their stomach and because they want to amass wealth for themselves. It's only few that really have the interest of the masses in their heart. And unfortunately, majority of those few who have the interest of the people at heart are not able to break through because of the same money issue we are discussing now. Why did I bring that in relation to your question directed at the church? Those who go out there because they need money. But those who go to the PCC to serve don't go there because they need money, because PCC members are not paid, neither are they paid allowance. It's a free service to the church. They are elected just to gather together on a monthly basis, rub their mind with the vicar on the administration of the church and give approval to things that need to be done. So I will not subscribe to your allegation. I call it allegation. I'm not saying that it has not happened, but I'm not sure it has been proven. But for me, I've seen a situation where some vicars influenced election unduly, election into PCC unduly. Maybe that is what you are trying to say. There was a particular case that happened in one diocese where I was before, where a vicar influenced the people to vote people from his own tribe into the PCC. But unfortunately, it backfired on him. He succeeded in doing the manipulations, and in the PCC, in fact, the membership of the PCC were just people from his tribe. And that church is a church that have other tribes fully represented in the church. But when he started having problems, and the same people he elected started fighting him and exposing him, he started shouting, crying wolf, other members said, no, you have to face your people because you played these politics and brought them in. So face them. Because these same people could now go home, even in their tribal meeting, raise the issue of the vicar of the church and discuss it there in their tribal meeting and conclude it and come back to the church. So before coming back to the church, they have already concluded it in their tribal meeting. If he did not play the politics of putting all his tribe into that very PCC, he wouldn't have had that kind of a problem. So for me, I always, about 2 or 3 Sundays to the vestry meeting, I always preach a sermon to let people know the need for them to vote godly people into office. And I don't forget, I always tell them this on the pulpit. If you, on election day, if you mortgage your conscience and vote people in quote who are ungodly, when you say they are ungodly, that indirectly means they are children of the devil, because they are present in the church also. If you vote them in, the vicar will work with these ungodly people, and the result you will get as a church is ungodly result at the end of the year. Don't blame me, because I'm not going to vote. I'm the returning officer. Then if you vote godly people, honest people, people with good report, people full of faith, people filled with the Holy Spirit, which are the yardstick that the Bible has prescribed, if you use that to select people, these are the same people the vicar is going to work with. And like in computer language, they say garbage in, garbage out. So if you also put in good people in, good will come out. So at the end of the year, you get good report. And that is my advice to all priests, to all vicars, to all pastors, to all bishops. And I don't think we should make the same mistake that people are making out there. Otherwise, we don't have moral right to begin to correct the politicians out there.
Sir, talking about moral rights, sir. Sir, I want to know, what is the place of accountability when one has been induced financially to vote for a particular candidate? Where is the accountability in governance?
That is on whose part?
You have the moral rights on the part of the candidates now.
Okay. Well, when you look at it, either way you enter, you know, in law, always say any evidence is evidence, no matter how you obtained evidence. You understand? Even if you say you are pressurized, or you gave evidence under duress, so long as what you said during that is factual, it will still be used even in, you know, in the legal in the judicial process. So anyhow you enter, you know, as we practice it in Nigeria, you are still accountable to the people.
Okay.
And then that's another issue. When you talk of accountability, you oftentimes we think accountability is ought to be only in the domain of the elected, even the electorate, but people, the governed, the masses. I think accountability should start from them, because they should hold the people accountable. The process of holding people accountable is like the process of enforcing your rights. When you look into the Constitution, you see all manner of rights. If it's infringed upon, you have to get a lawyer, you have to go to court, you have to take all these active, very active and deliberate processes to enforce your right. Nobody will just come and dash you your right. It is written there, but you have to enforce it. So also, accountability. When you want to hold this, like the elected accountable, you have to, the electorate have to form NGOs, pressure groups. You understand? Thank God we have the Freedom of Information Act that has already been signed into, that is already operable in Nigeria, as signed by the last
National Assembly.
No,
That is the
seventh National.
The former president. The former president signed it into law.
Yes.
Okay.
It's now an act. So you can access any information, apart from the classified information, you can access any government information which deals with maybe policies or fiscal policies or funding, or, you know, you can access it and use it to hold the elected officers accountable. If you notice anything, you can even write a petition to the prosecuting agencies like ICPC, EFCC, or even can go approach the court and seek for the fiat of the Attorney General to prosecute. You understand? So the process of holding elected people accountable, it's a proactive thing. It's not a docile thing. Somebody will come like we are here and talk. You know, all of us are armchair critics. We like going to AIT, ACNN, all manner of places and talk. It doesn't end there. It doesn't even begin there. The process is by actively, deliberately taking steps. You know, you cannot, you know, the advanced countries, they built their society based on accountability, active accountability. And correct information, correct information. That is why the press, the media, they have a very big role. Most times, you listen to the press, you listen to all these talk shows, they don't even have anything they don't even dish out correct information. The press should do proper investigative journalism so that whatever issue they are bringing up, you understand, must have been thoroughly cross-checked. Then people can now debate on it, and then wherever there are necessary follow-ups, like in all these processes, then also it will put the elected, the elected people, yes, it will put them on their toes. People tend to relax when they are not being put on their toes. They come out and dish all manner of falsified information, and people take it hook, line, and sinker. But if they know that the masses are educated, are enlightened enough to hold them proactively accountable, I can assure you we will be on our way to building a very strong institution, a very strong society. You don't run a modern society with primitive tools. We are running Nigeria like a primitive country. And, you cannot, just like our daddy said earlier, you cannot, it's garbage in, garbage out. What we are seeing here is essentially what we are putting into the system. That's just it.
I think we've been able to establish one fact. Whether you're being induced financially or otherwise, you can still hold the elected individuals accountable. All right, thank you, sir. Sir, talking about cost of politicking or running government, it's believed that it's high, no doubt about it. My worry, sir, is if this cost to a great or to a large extent is being reduced, don't you see situations where those who don't have what it takes, sorry to use the word riffraff, coming into politics, making nonsense of the polity?
Well, I think the essential question there is who will reduce the cost.
Okay.
Are you willing to reduce it? Who will reduce the cost?
Maybe the government per se.
The government, it's not constitutional. The government cannot reduce the cost. Let me tell you, my brother, you see, it shows that the rot have really gone, gone nuclear.
Okay.
If I have to use that word. When you say the cost, nobody will, let me tell you, all of us are political animals. If there's what they call making use of other people's knowledge. You cannot go far as a young person if you never made use of other people's knowledge, especially those who have done the things you are doing. Like Solomon said, there is hardly any new thing. What has been done is still what people are doing, and what people are doing and what will continue to be done. So it means that even this society, Nigeria, whatever we are doing today, had been done elsewhere, had been done before. So all we need to do is to borrow a leaf, is to read up, Then if you want to, how other societies, how had they, what tools did they use to build their society? If there's any problem today, somebody will run to America as an escape route. But America is fine. How did they build that, society? The political system has always been a space whereby even the church participates actively. In America, in London, where they have counties, they have boroughs, during the election, if you are not known within the community, there's no way you contest election. Everybody who is above 18 is a card-carrying, almost everybody is a card-carrying member of a party. Even the local priest is a card-carrying member of a city, of a party. Because, let me go a little bit spiritual. Our Lord Jesus Christ said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to him. But we Christians, we always seek the authority that comes from heaven. Well, we don't want to take the authority on earth. You understand? Everything, they say, and of the increase of his government, everything that has to do with here, we as a church, the Muslim community, the Muslim Ummah, they are better politically organized than we, the Christians. Christians, we appear to be more interested in the government in heaven not here on earth. But meanwhile, everything here, the economy affects us, the education policies affect us, the transport policies affect us. Why can't my village church vicar, you understand, why can't he and all the members of the PCC and every member of the church belong actively to PDP or APC, that is any political party, so that when party primaries come out, they will come out and determine who becomes the party flag bearer. Oh, that is the only way. That's the way in overseas. That's the way they build their societies. Why can't my local vicar be that, or the vicar, like our vicar here in Cafe, assuming he's resident there, he's a card-carrying member of a political party there, and they will determine who will emerge as FCT. Okay, they don't have state assembly here. You know, you understand what I mean? So that is how you reduce the cost. You can't reduce the cost by legislation. You can't, because it's not constitutionally provided. There's no act. Even if there is an act, even if they go about it, there's no way to regulate it.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll quickly go on a short break. See you on the other side of the program.
Okay. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. As Christians, we should consider very seriously whether to remain silent or give our voice to service in our political system. Christians are charged not to put their faith aside before entering the political sphere, but instead make it the essential core of their daily work as worthy ambassadors of Christ. Each of us must believe that we too can go into politics and make a difference, and not complain and criticize on the pulpit about bad governance, or better still, give ourselves extra prayer points for God to heal our land from corruption and other vices that plague our society. We will not give up. Let's join hands together to fight this cause by participating in politics, for by so doing, the desired change must come. As Abraham Lincoln put it, it is better to have tried and failed than never to have tried at all.
Welcome back, viewers. If you're just joining us, this is Christian in Politics. We've been looking at money and Nigerian politics. What is the way forward? And with me on the show has been Barrister Patrice Akwara, who is a Nigerian-based Abuja lawyer, and also our in-house analyst, Venerable J.O. Unoya, Director, Civic and Political Affairs, Church of Nigeria, Director, Justice, Equity and Peace Commission, and also the chaplain to the National Assembly. To our Venerable Sir, is it wrong for the church to sponsor candidates, competent one, for election?
I don't see anything wrong in it. Many people will say it is wrong, but I don't see anything wrong in it. I don't see anything wrong in it, and I mean it when I say I don't see anything wrong in it. In the Bible, when the church want to send people out, they will set a standard, a yardstick used for measurement, then use it to select the people. Then eventually they'll pray for them and commission them and send them out. I don't see what is wrong. When they are sending them out, they send them out with all that they will need to go out there to preach the gospel and to convert the world for Christ. And I don't see anything wrong if because the church is desirous to see a just and a society where there is equity and there is fair play, that if the church decide to look inward and call on somebody and say, look, we've watched you for some time now. We discover that you are a very faithful Christian, you are honest, you are just in all your dealings, you have good report. We want you to go out there and affect the society for good. The church is there to change the society. The church is the light of the world. And so we cannot keep our light under the table. If we have the light, we should take it and put it on top of the table. So as far as I'm concerned, the peak or the highest table in Nigeria is when you send people to Aso Rock, because that is where most things are determined. The things that will affect Nigerians, that is where it's determined. You send people to the National Assembly, because that is where the laws will be made. What is wrong if the church sends people to that place? And when you are sending that, we are discussing the issue of politics and money. We already know that as of today, before you can be voted into any office, you would have become a member of a political party, and you will need money during your primary. Like as we've been talking, he is a politician, he's a Christian. He participated in the last election, and I can tell you, he spent a lot of money. He spent a lot of money, even though it was not picked as the candidate during the primary, but he has spent a lot of money, because whether he likes it or not, people demanded for the money. And apart from the one people demanded for, he had to organize rally, he had to print posters, they had to do one thing or the other to be able to even participate in the primary. So if he's going to do that and he is coming out of a church, what is wrong if the church helps him to raise funds, mobilize for funds for him to be able to do this? That is the only way he can also have a loyalty to the church. So for me, people may have different view, but I feel if genuine Christians are going out there to participate in politics and money becomes their handicap, if the church has the money, they should assist.
Okay, so talking about loyalty to the church and individual freedom to choose their choice candidates. When the church presents a candidate, it is assumed that everyone wants to vote for that candidate, whether you like it or not, simply because the church has presented this candidate. Don't you see infringements upon the fundamental human right of people, to exercise their votes now?
Which of the sections?
Well, I feel morally is wrong, sir.
Okay.
It's wrong.
Sorry, before you respond, it depends on the words you are using.
Okay.
When you are using the word when a church presents a candidate,
okay,
it's not the church that presents a candidate. It's the political parties that will present a candidate for election.
But
the church can encourage his own candidate to go out there and participate in a particular political party with the intention that this man, if he participates actively in that political party and is encouraged by the church, he's supported financially, like as I said.
Yes.
Let's not use the word sponsor, because when you use the word sponsor, it implies that you'll be reporting back, because your guy is somewhere who sponsored you. I've chosen the word encourage.
Okay.
If the church encourages somebody to go out there, don't use the word present. Okay. That's what I just want to quickly say.
Yes, well, what you just said played out in Imo State in 2011.
Okay.
But we have to bear in mind that we live in a plural society. Okay. Socially, religiously plural. Let me just put it like that. In Imo State in 2011, the Catholic Church sort of adopted Owele Rochas Okorocha, who is actually the current governor. But I think that what our venerable here, the posture he painted, is not a situation whereby, from within the church, maybe notable politicians whose characters have been proven by the church can be tacitly supported. Not necessarily you say primate or bishop or vicar, bring out this person, this is our candidate. Because of the plural nature of our society, that may backfire you know, if the other faiths are more in number than we are. But a member of the church who, through the ranks in the church, or, you know, by his long-standing devotion, training, and also the way his family, you know, are devoted in the church, the children being brought up, just like when we are being knighted, there are a lot of criteria. They want to know how you've been bringing up your children. They want to know, you understand, there are a lot of things. They took it very serious. Even as at then, I didn't think I had the capacity to be a knight. But when I went through the induction, the training, it built capacity in me, you understand? So what I'm trying to say is, when, you know, as a member of the church, you have the capacity, the Christian capacity, the Christian character, and you've gone through it, the church can say, okay, just like the Roman Catholic Church did, adopted Rochas Okorocha, and across board, was, in fact, his own was like, even if you are running for House of Assembly, just because you belong to Rochas Okorocha's party there, Abga. I remember my own cousin, who was even in Port Harcourt playing drafts, but he bought Abga form. After the end, they called him to tell him that he had won against a PDP person. You know, that's what I heard, that he was playing draft. I was there. But that's to show you that the church, if it is institutionalized or even made a more serious something because of the decay, the rot we have in our society, the church should be more proactive. And when you talk about that, you find out that it's not a novel thing, it's not a new thing. Recall that we are the Anglican Church. The head of the Anglican Church, before all of us now broke into provinces, is he not the Queen? You understand? Which means the church and the state has always been together. Nigeria, under the British colony, was under the Queen, you understand, as the head of the government. And also the Anglican Church in Nigeria was subscribed to that headship of the Queen. So all along, even in those days in Britain, even in America today, if you're not a practicing Christian, you don't stand a chance of being elected as American president. You know what happened during Obama's own campaign, how he nearly lost it because they were saying he was of a Muslim faith, you understand? So that brought the question. It was more serious back in the days of back in the days of Woodrow Wilson, Benjamin Franklin, even Abraham Lincoln. It was more serious because these people were men of faith, proven character in a society. You know, so our own society, our own democracy, being a growing democracy, being, you know, we're still in, as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria is still in a tutelage democracy. So we should build with strong foundations. I know what the Bible says, that if the foundation is destroyed, what would the righteous do? So I think that the church should be more proactive. The church should be more, the church should do more, participate more actively. You know, I don't know, should find a way of doing it.
Barrister, you contested for the Federal House, you know, under Abombise Ngokbala Federal Constituency, you know, under the flagship of PDP.
In the primaries.
Okay, the primaries, yes, for PDP. In the course of the primary campaigns and all that, I want to believe money exchanged hands.
Of course.
Don't you think this was instrumental, you know, to you not being taken as their choice candidate?
Well, you know, there is, as Nigeria is today, every political process in Nigeria is heavily influenced by money. And I can assure you that not only in the Federal House primaries, because somehow the area I come from, PDP primaries are looked at as the main election. You know, when you win PDP primaries, as if you have won the main election. And that's obviously what happened, because we are predominantly members of PDP, you know. Being that Emeka Ihedioha, Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, you know, he being the speaker or the deputy speaker then was relinquishing that post and was going for the gubernatorial, you understand. So he had a lot of influence, you know, in what happened, and being a political leader in that area. So most people from that our constituency, my constituency, are members of the PDP. So the PDP primaries was highly contested, and I can assure you money played a lot of role. But I wouldn't limit myself to PDP House of Representatives primaries. Across board, even apart from the presidential, which was uncontested, you know, we had a sole candidate. All others, governorship. A lot of people gave out a lot of money. And not only money, you know, when you talk of giving money, people subscribe to oaths or, you know, all this Okija stuff. You know, we hear it all over again.
Kind of arrangement or agreement.
Agreement and oath-taking between candidates and, you know, the voting delegates. But as a child of God, I didn't get myself involved in that. I wouldn't tell you that this person did or this person didn't. But I know that from the Guba down to the House of Assembly, a lot of people, you know, were made to take oath or made to, you know, get themselves involved in covenant. These are the things that happen behind the scene. And that's why you get all the kind of results you do get. But I think these things cannot be legislated on. That's why, you know, the main thing that will help us, that may help us to get our political process, you know, especially party political process working, will be when a lot of people subscribe, become card-carrying members of the party, both the church, the students, when you get to the age of 18, so that you can stand your ground and choose who will be your delegates. Because, you know, the delegate system is like an electoral college. After you vote for your tribal delegate, they will now form a sort of electoral college to determine who will be the party flag bearer. You understand? So it's at that point that you can stamp your feet across board. One of the reasons why PDP failed was because the delegate list was doctored, or let me use this word, was given to certain persons who had been sponsoring their party. So they will just look at your face. If they feel that you will not support them, they will not write your name. So they ended up writing the people who they felt will elect them, not remembering that after primaries there's also a general election. So during the general election, those who had more clout in the wards and the constituencies, but were dropped earlier to people who these big guys can manipulate with money. Fine, during the general election, those people did anti-party. So that's why, if you notice, PDP just failed across board, because they were unable to cure these defects, you know. So, but then also, that is where the people, if we want to have ownership of the political process, that is where it starts. When everybody becomes conscious. But I think all these things will start from our civil education, from primary school to secondary school. People should be given the kind of education that will agitate their minds into being patriotic citizens. You know, like overseas there, they groom you. Most people who enter into leadership in Nigeria are just there because of money. They are not there, they are not trained. That's why every time you see constitutional amendments in National Assembly, you hardly see things that will have any impact on the people. All the constitutional amendments you see is whether they want to amend one artificial thing or the other. They don't really amend, they don't really bring acts that will go down to the way we live, the way we buy pure water, the way we obey traffic, the way we, our fiscal policies. They don't really bring all this because they don't have this kind of training. And if you don't have it, in law, they say, "Nemo dot quod non habet." You cannot give what you don't have. So, you see, it's a holistic thing. And I believe that the church, God has given the church the world. God, Jesus Christ, bequeathed, he said, all authority in heaven and on earth had been bequeathed to him. None was given to Satan. You understand? None was given to him. When he resurrected, he said, all authority in heaven and on earth. And he has invested the same to the church. He said, whatever you condemn, whatever you agree, whatever you permit, whatever. So the church should rise up to her responsibility. This place, as far as I'm concerned, I'm totally persuaded that this earth belongs to God. It doesn't belong to Satan. Satan is just a meddlesome interloper. That's the way I look at him. Here, the church should take her stand by the teaching. That's why I always encourage Bible study. Because I believe that the way out of this quagmire is in-depth Bible study. To make people, Bible study is like training a lawyer. It's like training a doctor. The way we spiritualize all these things, it doesn't make any meaning. To me, it's like training. You cannot train a lawyer without telling him, without him going through trainings, legal system, criminal law, clinical. You understand? The same thing with medical doctors. So, if we have to live on earth, getting ready for heaven, we have to go through the teachings of our Lord Jesus Christ, his lifestyle, his mien, his attitude, and then we now do comparative analysis of how other nations, other societies develop their society. You cannot get it any other way.
Okay, thank you. Venerable, we're actually short of time, but a very quick one. I feel that unless we make our political, or public offices less attractive, the issue of money will continue to be a problem. What do you think?
Well, that is the way to go. I think for now, every person sees politics as the place you go to and make money and become, not just making money, and become multi-millionaire, if not billionaire. So, and for as long as it continues that way, we'll continue to have problems. Because everyone wants to go there. Whether they have the society, the good of the society in their heart or not, everyone wants to go there. And everyone wants to do everything, whatever it takes, even if it means killing your neighbor to get there. Even if it means, like our brother said, going to Okija Shrine to swear, mortgage your future, you want to just get there. It's because the money that is being thrown around in the corridor of power, especially in the cycle of the politician, is just something, will I use the word prohibitive? It's something, it's just terrible. There's need to do something about it. And I think, if I remember vividly, in the early days of Yar'Adua's administration, he tried to cut down on the salaries and allowances of politicians and political office holders. But I don't know what transpired, whether it was because of his sickness, the idea was dropped. And when Jonathan eventually took over, I think in the first few months of his administration, something like that wanted to come up. It's like any person who raises that something, there are some people who goes to him to say, if you don't drop this idea, it will consume your administration. So then the thing was suddenly abandoned again also. And I think for the past 2-3 weeks now, I've seen it in the media that something is being done again. This new administration is contemplating cutting down on the salaries and allowances of politicians. It's something that is inevitable. It must be done. The gap between the rich and the poor in Nigeria is just too wide, and it's getting wider and wider and wider, and that is dangerous for our society. the way to go about it is really to cut down on this thing. And for me, I've always said that any government in Nigeria that cannot muster the courage to cut down on the salaries and allowances of politicians as it is today, that government has already set agenda to fail. Any government who really want to succeed, you want to deal with corruption, you want to deal with other issues, the government must start with this. Does it really make sense? You said there's no time, but let me quickly say this. Okay. Somebody sent something into my mail and say, you are the director for civic and political affairs for the Church of Nigeria. Look at these figures. By the time I look at the figures, I discovered that, well, I always say there are many figures in the media that is a subject to verification. But I discovered there that people in the National Assembly, some of them goes home with up to about 29 million naira per month. And the salary wage for the country is 18 minimum salary. What the minimum wage? Minimum wage is 18,000 naira. And some governors in some states are not even able to pay. Then one person goes home with 20-something million naira in a month, and the people are going to go to the same market and all that. So we can't run the society like that. This money that few individuals are just taking away is meant for all. God bless this nation with our resources, and it should be equitably distributed. So I will subscribe to the fact that the salaries and the wages of politicians and political office holders should be cut down. That will be the way forward. Okay. And that will make it less attractive.
Okay. Barrister, in 60 seconds, what's the way forward? Money and Nigerian politics. Yeah,
the way forward for me, money and Nigerian politics, it's not even only politics, I am an irrevocable advocate for scientific knowledge, acquisition of information. I believe that, the more comparative we become in whatever we do, they call it peer review mechanism. There's nothing stopping us from, reviewing the things that are done in other climes, getting ourselves involved. One of the reasons why it appears there's so much money in politics because, earth abhors vacuum. When you don't have any program you want to apply money to, you misuse it. You understand? If we as young people, elderly people, Nigerians, get ourselves actively involved in the political process, we will, those who are well-intended, who have good intentions, will outnumber those who don't have good intentions. I remember back then in the University of Lagos, I just came back from lectures, you understand? And then I saw everybody was smelling. And then somebody, it was Channels TV that ran it, one of these their quotes. He said, when the rot in the society continues, where well-intentioned people stay away from governance. I said I was going to run for a political post, and I ran and I won. And I changed, at least within my own nuclear space, we changed one or two things in the University of Lagos. So what I'm trying to say is all of us should get involved. If we get involved, we will outnumber these negative-minded people, and then we'll take over the space.
Thank you very much, sir. Wow, it's been wonderful on the show today. You can be that change which we desire in this country. You don't need so much money to be in partisan politics. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, it has been wonderful on the show. With me has been our own in-house analyst, Venerable J.O. Unuaya, who is the Director, Civic and Political Affairs, Church of Nigeria, Director, Justice, Equity and Peace Commission, Church of Nigeria, the Anglican Chaplain to the National Assembly, and also our guest, Barrister Patrice Akwara, who is an Abuja-based lawyer. It's been wonderful. Hope to see you same time, same station next week. Bye.
you.